Hello and welcome to Education at SSPJ online video tutorials. We were in chapter Reaching the Age of Adolescence of class 8th CBSE. We have already learnt the meaning of adolescence and what all the changes takes place during the adolescence. Growth begins from day one after the birth. We all cross this stage from childhood to very elderly stage. We come across the stage called adulthood and then adolescence. After crossing the age of 10 or 11, there is a sudden growth which becomes very noticeable, and that is what is a period of adolescence. And what do you mean by growth? By growth we mean a child suddenly changes in his behavior, his attitude and his physical characteristics, and this is so with the case of girl. There will be a physical changes and psychological changes. By psychological means we change our thoughts, our attitude change takes place. We get into a stage called reproductive maturity. And what is reproductive maturity? Adolescent children will be able to become a parents. They can produce their own children. This is in simple sentence. What happens during the reproductive maturity is that whatever is required for the reproduction, adolescents, boy and girl will be capable of. Right? We'll go ahead with this information. The period of life when the body undergoes changes leading to reproductive maturity is called adolescence. In simple term, reproductive maturity is boy and girl will be having the ability to reproduce, right? And it begins at the age of 11 and lasts up to 18 or 19 years. In girls, it will be bit early than the boys, but that period is not always constant. It changes, depends on the environment, genes, that is hereditary, right? So it is different from person to person. Now coming down to what is reproductive maturity. Okay, what we have learned in this in the previous video tutorial is that this period of adolescence is a stage where we all reach a reproductive maturity. That's what is called adolescence. And by reproductive maturity means both will be able to produce their offsprings, right? There is a stage which is termed as a puberty, right? And what is puberty? Puberty is the time of life when the boy or girl becomes sexually mature. Now, what is sexually mature? Understood? It is that time where the girl will be able to produce egg and the boy will be able to produce sperm. You all have learnt already that the fusion of sperm and the egg will give rise to a fertilization. So it happens between the age of 10 and 14 for girls and 12 and 16 for boys. It causes so many changes, physical changes, which affect the boys and girls differently. Right? Now we shall see what are the changes of puberty during puberty quickly, because we have already covered this in the previous video tutorials, and that is the reason I am going a little bit fast. Right? First change which you notice during the adolescence is increase of height. Right? Why should we know about changes during adolescence? Right? Unless and until we aware of all these changes which happens to our body, right, we will have a kind of ignorance about all these informations, and suddenly we come across all the changes, and that is the time where we come under a stress and anxiety. Moreover, the environmental factor, the people around you may give you a misinformation regarding the changes which is occurring inside your body, as well as the psychological changes. To avoid all those things, we should know that what all the changes which occur, which is so natural, right? So go ahead with the increase in height, right? Generally girls will have a better increase than faster increase than the boys at a particular age. We have referred in the previous video tutorial a table where you can make out that the boys at the age of 8 completes 72% of their height, whereas girls will complete 77% of their height. So this table will give you information. For example, at 13 years of age, a boy will be completing 88% of his height, and 95% of the height will be completed as far as girls are concerned. And so, but at the age of 18 or 19, most probably at 18, 100% of both the height will be completed in most of the cases, right? Calculation for full height in centimeters, there is a formula which you can pause this video and go ahead with calculation of your own height using this chart, right? But remember that the girls grow faster than the boys, and about at 18 years of age both the boys and girls will reach the same height. Now there will be change in the body shape also, right? A boy will have a broader shoulder, he develops some muscles. A girl will develop a broader waist, right? These are all common features which are noticed during the adolescence. So all these are very natural. Every one of us will go through this, right? So both the boys and girls reach their maximum height at 18 years. Another change is change in voice, right? And that change in voice is because of increase in the size of voice box, or you can say Adam's apple. You can see, read here on the screen, Adam's apple. Naturally the voice box, the size of the voice box of the boys will grow faster, and that's why you will see on the portion where I am showing here, it appears bulging in most of the boys, right? And that is not unnatural. It is a very natural one, because the voice become hoarse and it grows also. Voice box will grows, right? If you are a singer, then the singing was so simple and easy for you during 6th class. By the time you come to 8th class, you start feeling that you cannot raise your pitch, and this is all because of your adolescence, and it comes back to a normal over a period of time with your practice. Next one is development of sex organs. That is what is very important. Why? Because this is the area where boys as well as girls will come under a lot of stress and tension, because they don't express everything to their parents. So it is the time we should know everything what happens inside our body, right? So as soon as the children reaches the age of adolescence, their reproductive parts developing completely. And what do you mean by reproductive part, right? We all have studied in previous chapter reproduction in animal, right? So reproductory organs or reproductive organs, right? So this is for the female reproductive organ, this is the female reproductive organ, and this is the male reproductive organ, right? So this is the time during adolescence the testes will be able to produce sperms, and the ovaries will be able to produce eggs. We have already studied that the male gamete and a female gamete, that is what is called egg, and this is called sperm. When they fuse, they give rise to zygote. This is what we have already studied, right? And this process is what is called fertilization. So when this happens during adolescence, right? So testes will be able to produce sperms and ovaries will be able to produce eggs. This will not be so when they were in the childhood, right? This happens only when they reach adolescence. So in both girls and boys, these changes will take place, right? And these are all because of endocrine glands, which we will come to know in the same video tutorials, right? Now coming down to the present information. This information is for this tutorial. What we have studied so far is the information which already we have shared in the previous tutorial. Please go through those tutorials. Now, secondary sexual characteristics means what? It refers to external features, right? For example, if there is, a boy, suddenly his external features will change. He will have muscularity, right? A broader chest. Maybe you must have noticed, having given proper exercise and food, it is easy to get a 6-pack abs or 8-pack abs during this time. So I said this is the time where you can take a maximum benefit of learning, right? You start getting the mustaches slowly here, right? This is same for the female. These are all external features. A female also will have sexual changes, that is the external features that clearly distinguish a male and female, right? What happens in the female is that the chest area, what so called breast, they come front. You can see here everything is natural, so there is no need to come under attention that at a particular level girls start getting their breast little higher and higher. It's all because of chemicals, and those chemicals are called hormones. Okay, as I said that these hormones we are going to learn in the same video tutorial. Right, it's because of hormone called estrogen all these changes happens, right? Both the boys and the girls will have hairs, right? Hairs under the arm. For the boys, for the boys you get a hair here under the arm and between the chest, in both the cases for male as well as female, right? So these are all secondary sexual characters. Okay, so you can pause this video and go through that. Maybe there are questions may appear, there may be questions in the examination. What are the changes in secondary sexual characters? So once again, external features of the boys as well as girls will change, and the breast for a girl will be will rise above, right? Milk glands, okay, milk secreting glands, they are called mammary glands, also will develop. In case a girl becomes a mother, she will be able to give a milk to the baby, and there will be a development of pubic hair and also a hair under their underarms. Okay, all these things are very natural. For boys also it is same, right? They grow mustache and beards, uh, pubic hair under arms and all. Testes will start giving out a sperm, okay, producing sperm, and that all is because of another hormone which is called testosterone. It's a male hormone. Now let me tell you what do you mean by endocrine system, right? Now, as far as your syllabus is concerned, we are not going so detailed regarding endocrine system. However, we'll touch upon a little bit here and there. What does it actually mean, right? So what is endocrine system means? Endocrine system is made of glands that makes hormones. Hormones are a kind of chemicals, they carry information. So you can have a figure of endocrine system. Here it starts with the pituitary gland. You can see here, this is what a pituitary gland is, right? A pineal gland. Each of these gland will go one by one, not in details, just we'll touch upon these glands: pancreas, adrenal glands, this one, testes, and as well as ovaries in case of uh, a girl, right? So most of the glands will locate at the same place except testes, right? In place of testes there will be a ovary, right? So locations of these glands are fixed. Now what do these glands do? They give out kind of chemical, and those chemicals are called hormones. So hormones are kind of a chemicals released in one part of the body, and that hormone will travel, right? Will travel through a bloodstream. For example, this pituitary gland gives a kind of hormone, and that will go into the blood and will make other part of the body to do certain kind of things, to do some kind of activities. For example, now you have come to adolescent stage, right? And now the ovaries should produce egg, because at adolescent stage you are capable of becoming a mother, right? And to become a mother, fertilization too should takes place, and to fertilization we require egg. Now who orders that? It's a pituitary glands sends a chemical into the blood, and that creates the entire change in the system, and ovaries will start making eggs, right? This is how the most of the glands and endocrine system will function. So it secretes hormones that directly regulate main body functions and controls functions of other glands, right? Sometimes if it doesn't work properly, sometimes there will be a variation in growth and all. For example, a pituitary gland, if it doesn't function properly, if it doesn't give out proper hormones, it gives a 9 hormones, right? So here and there, if there is too much of hormones and or very less of hormones, that result into some problems like gigantism and dwarfism. What do you mean by gigantism? A person will grow much bigger like a giant, or dwarfism is he becomes a very small, very short one. You must have seen, they are generally referred as jokers. Okay, it is not their fault, it's a problem with their endocrine system. Oh, we have reached already 20 minutes of time, too much of information. Sometimes too much of information is also a bit difficult to digest. So we'll stop it here and continue with this information in the next video tutorial. Thank you.